Hello guys, so I've just jumped into the Ford Edge Vignale and I've just noticed that my head is touching the roof lining. So let me see if I can do something about that. Bear with me, I've just literally jumped in this car. I've only got it for about half an hour or so. There we go, that's more like it. So, the Ford Edge Vignale, and you're probably thinking, Vignale, what's that? It all sounds very posh, and it is, if truth be told. Now, the Vignale brand that Ford uses, it's used on the Mondeo, it's also used on the Kuga as well, and it's the luxury trim of the models. And you step in and it's very clear to see. You've got leather everywhere, got leather on the dash, very nice. Got a nice carbon effect inlay just above the glove box. These leather seats are very nice, very sumptuous. Of course you have a leather steering wheel and you've got leather on the door panels as well. And you're probably thinking, well, that all sounds very lovely. Well, I'm yet to be properly convinced by the Vignale range, purely because I just think for the amount of money that you're paying, you could get something German. You could get a BMW X3, or you can get an Audi Q5, or you can get a Merc. So something that looks and feels very nice indeed. But what's the Vignale like? Well, I'm going to drive it to find out. Before I do so, let me talk you through some prices. So I mentioned the price point a few moments ago. Now, I believe this car starts at around £39,000. I've got the spec sheet here. So let me take that back. The car would normally cost you £41,795. Now, actually, I was correct first time. The Edge Vignale does indeed start from around £39,000. Well, £39,545 to be exact, but that's for the manual model. This is the automatic version, so that's why it's a little bit more money. And you do get a lot of car for your money, but that just seems a lot of money for a Ford, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. This one does have quite a few options. So it's got the white platinum paint, that's £280. In fact, it's got a whole plethora of options. So if I just show you there, hopefully you can see that. So it has got quite a few. So this car that I'm in right now is £45,500. But is it worth it? Well, let's get on the road and let's find out. There we go. So 2 litre diesel, mated to an automatic gearbox, which is the Powershift gearbox. Now, I had this gearbox in for Ford Fiesta, and I will be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of it. So let's see how it does in the Edge, shall we? Right, so drive mode selected. Now, in the interest of fairness, it's worth mentioning that Vignale is more than just an extra bit of leather and a fancy badge. It also offers buyers a more personal buying experience, a concierge service, plus you'll even receive unlimited free car washes. No, honest. It's very comfortable. That's one of the first things I get from this car, is that it's very comfortable. These seats are very nice, as I'm sure I have already mentioned. So this has got all-wheel drive. In fact, I've got a little display on the dial that says intelligent all-wheel drive, so I anticipate it's scanning the road ahead, but this is dry tarmac, so we won't need it here. It feels like I'm driving a truck. Obviously it's an SUV, so the driving position is high up, but this is a big car, and it certainly feels like a big car. Some SUVs are able to pull off a trick of feeling like a smaller car when you're driving them, but the Edge, no, it's not able to pull off the same trick. So this car is riding on simply massive alloys. They're chromed as well, which isn't my cup of tea, but I do know that the Americans like that sort of thing. But in Britain, I'm not too sure, in all honesty. It certainly isn't my cup of tea, but it's horses for courses. But as you would expect from big alloys, there is a bit of tyre noise. But other than that, it's quite quiet in here. I do feel somewhat cocooned in here. Now, let's be honest, it's not quite as premium as a Range Rover or something that the Germans would be able to offer you, but it's not bad either. Now, going back to what I said earlier, now I've only driven this a few moments, but would I pay £45,500 for this? I don't know. At this moment in time, I wouldn't, because that's just a lot of money. It really is, and it is very nice in here, don't get me wrong. And one thing I like about this Ford model is that it's not, sorry, that's for sat nav, you'll have to excuse me. One thing I do like about this car is that there's not too many buttons. I've got in some Fords and you get in and it's just simply 2 many buttons and you don't know where to start. But in this, it's simplistic. You've got the full sync 3 system, a system that I'm very familiar with. As I've said in the past, it's not the greatest system, but it's not truly awful either. I just think it looks a little bit bland, in all honesty, but it works well. Ease of use is good. I'm not really struggling to use it at all. So, the 2 litre diesel, it has 210 PS, which is 207 brake horsepower, with 450 newton meters of torque. That means it'll hit 62 miles per hour in 9.4 seconds, which for a big lump like this is actually pretty decent. And the top speed is 131 miles per hour. And this car will move when you want it to. Okay, the gearbox is a bit slow to pick up. Although, having said that, when you're driving in and around town at relatively low speeds, the gearbox, in my experience, is actually okay. So I've got no complaints with it there. Now, you can have the 6-speed manual gearbox, but that's mated to a less powerful 2 litre diesel, which offers 178 brake horsepower. But don't expect any extra economy, as it offers exactly the same combined figure of 47.9 miles to the gallon, with 152 grams per kilometre of CO2 emissions. But what about the rest of the car? Well, the ride is very smooth, it's comfortable, and this is the kind of car that I can imagine you could drive for many, many miles and not get tired in it. The brake pedal's got a nice feel to it. It gives nice feedback. Steering's got a nice weight to it as well. It's a car that doesn't really like to be rushed, but you get a sense that this would be very happy to just sit on the motorway at a set speed, and you could just watch the world go by, really. So yeah, so let me talk to you about the inside. So it's very nice, as I said earlier. You've got plenty of leather, and Ford has really made an effort to make the inside of this car feel premium, and that has to be applauded. There are, some cheap plastics down the bottom here, but they are out of sight. You can't really see them that much. So in regards to the car's manoeuvrability, obviously it's a very big car, and you do feel that when you're driving it. You do get a sense that if you're driving it through, oh God, that was pretty close. You get a sense that if you're driving it through sleepy villages or towns that have got tight roads, you may struggle a little bit, because this car is simply gargantuan. It is so big, but that means you've got a lot of space. So the boot is very big, there's plenty of space in the back. But the visibility is pretty good, which is just as well, really, because you will find that sometimes trying to get this through certain gaps is like trying to thread an elephant through the eye of a needle. So this is a pretty good test, actually, bringing it down here, because it's not exactly wide through here, and there's a lot of parked cars, so I'm having to continually stop. I love it, an Audi has stopped for me. That's how imposing this car is. An Audi stopped to let me through. Oh, that's not the biggest gap going. Oh, got through. There we go. So let me talk you through some of the specifications. So naturally, you've got electric windows all round, you've got climate control, you've got heated seats, you've got navigation, smartphone connectivity, you've got autonomous emergency braking as well, which is handy, lane keep assist. It's got a few other toys on it as well as optional extras. So for example, in the back you've got the inflatable seat belts, which is a nice little safety feature. This car also has a heated steering wheel, but that's an optional extra, and the rear seats are heated, so very nice indeed, but again, that is an optional extra. But it could prove to be very handy for those cold winter mornings when you've got the kids in the back or whoever, and you don't want them complaining that they're cold. Right, let's take manual control off the paddles, see what the gearbox is like. Okay, a second. Actually, the changes are pretty smooth. Not too bad, actually. Let's pop it into sport mode, and once again take control of the paddles. So drop it down, that's second. Not bad. Felt a little bit of pause there, but I am being pernickety. Let's pop it back into drive. Now let's be honest, this isn't the kind of car that you're going to want to thread through corners or take down a B road, mostly because it probably won't fit. But it's worth talking about the handling nonetheless. For a big car, it does feel pretty composed. Obviously there is some body roll, but that's to be expected. You wouldn't really expect anything less from this car, because it must weigh about the same as a domestic house. It's probably just as big. And you know what, this is probably bigger than some student apartments. It is vast. So I'm not really able to properly test for levels of grip, but through these roads, absolutely fine. Steering's got a nice weight to it, but I think I'd want it to be a tad heavier. But that's me being picky, and that's personal preference, because I'm the sort of person, I like to have heavier steering anyway. So bringing the car back to base, so it's about time I wrapped things up. So the Ford Edge Vignale, it does have its plus points. It's got lots of space, as you can imagine. It's very comfortable. It is nice in here, but I just can't get past that price tag. I'm sorry, but £45,500, or base price just under £42,000. That's a fair amount of do-re-mi, so it's not a bad car. It's not a particularly fantastic car, and what I mean by that is it doesn't feel as special as it should for this price point, because it's, you know, let's make no bones about it, it's getting on, well, this model in particular, it's getting on for almost £50,000. And does it feel like I'm sat in a almost £50,000 car? No, it doesn't. It's very nice, but I just think the price point is an issue. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up, and please subscribe for more car obsession.